What's up, everyone? It's Marcelo, and I'm back for a brand new season of From the Lions Cove podcast. Obviously, I'm your host, Marcelo. We're going to call it FTLC from now on, because From the Lions Cove gets kind of long. So, FTLC podcast, I'm here with a very special guest, brand new season, and I can't wait to start it off and introduce you to my man, Dom DeMuth. Pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Let me give Dom a proper introduction. So, star linebacker at Mayfield High School, also star linebacker and D end at the College of Wooster. Because I'm pretty sure you played linebacker for like a little bit.
Yeah, I played linebacker my junior year.
All right. Well, prior to Wooster, he was all-district, all-conference, News Herald All-Star, and he went 11-1 his senior year, which is pretty good. In 2020-2021 season, 9 tackles over 2 games, which was pretty big. 21 season, started all 10 games, 48 tackles. He had 10 tackles in the game as well. And 2022 started all 10 games, 73 tackles. And in 2023, third team all NCAC honoree, started all 10 games, 51 tackles, and logged a high of 9 tackles in one game. He also had a key sack and fumble in a big win. So, star athlete right here, star player, and it's great to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, it's a great being here. I appreciate you asking me to come on and talk about some things with some football and whatnot. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, for those who don't know, Dom is actually my cousin. Me and him go way back a long, long time. But prior to like your high school football days, me and Dom actually played a year of football together. So that was a lot of fun. I actually remember in practice, like we were doing drills, and I just absolutely hit him to the ground.
Okay, I didn't know we were lying on the podcast now.
Yeah, but then after he kind of got me back. So, but it was a lot of fun playing football with him for a year. But I'm sure later throughout this podcast we'll talk about some basketball. So that'll be pretty fun. So, our first question is, how did you start playing football, and what drew you to like the sport?
Yeah, so kind of like my first introduction to football was my older brother. I got an older brother that's 6 years older than I am. He, growing up, he always played football. I always went to his games, growing up, as well as my dad. He was a coach for many years. He oftentimes coached my brother, throughout middle school and such, and then he in high school and for a short stint in college, he didn't coach him, but growing up, I always saw him playing football, and my dad kind of always instilled football, into me and my brothers, and so yeah, that's kind of what kind of got me initially into football, and then what drew me to football was the physicality part of football. I loved, growing up, I was kind of always a physical kid, and I loved that aspect of it. Kind of being able to hit someone without any repercussions, and then as well as kind of just the team aspect of it. I love being a part of a team. I loved having that team aspect with football, and so those are two very big drivers for me with loving the sport of football. So, and I feel like it's unlike any other sport out there in terms of those two aspects. So, yeah.
Awesome. What age did you start playing the game of football?
Oh man. So I know I started out in flag football for St. Francis. I can't remember exactly what grade I was in. It was probably first, second grade maybe. I think I started playing flag football. And then I started organized football with pads and such my 5th grade year. I actually started at Mayfield because at St. Francis they didn't let you start playing tackle football until 6th grade. So I first started out playing tackle football at Mayfield in 5th grade, and then from there on out I played at St. Francis the rest of middle school career. So
Wow.
yeah.
So what age would you say that you started taking the game pretty serious? Like when you realized you were kind of listen, I have to put in more work, put in more effort, to not almost reach the next level, but even just before high school.
I'd probably say my seventh grade year, probably going to my eighth grade year. I started going to a place called Speech Strength out in Chagrin. My brother went there. He started out there, and then once I kind of got to the age where I was kind of able to start lifting, doing some training, body was still developing a little bit. So um, once that seventh grade, going to eighth grade year, I started going to speech strength. And that's when I was if I want to do well in high school, I kind of, need to start getting things started. Right now, I started taking it a little bit more seriously. That's during that time was when I really started to know that I really loved football. It's something I wanted to do. So yeah, I'd say probably my seventh grade going into my eighth grade year of middle school.
Yeah, and what's funny too is that I actually went to speed strength with you for a year or two.
Oh yeah, I remember. Trust me, I remember.
I actually still have a scar on my leg when I was doing box jumps.
Oh my god!
When I was doing box jumps, I fell.
Yeah, I remember.
And the wood went into my knee. It was nasty, but
he should have made the jump. That's what it comes down to. He should have made the jump.
Hey, that's at a time when I wasn't that athletic.
Oh, so you're athletic now? Now then? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I had to make sure.
All right. Next question.
Okay.
So obviously you went to Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
So can you describe your first game playing for the high school and what was that like for you?
So are we talking my first varsity game or my first game ever at Mayfield?
First game ever.
Yeah. So that was my it was my freshman year. I can't remember the exact team that we played. But I know I played linebacker. I was maybe 180 at that point, maybe 170, probably right, maybe even 160, around that point. I was 160. I was 160 at that point. I don't remember the team that we were playing that first game, but I do remember playing linebacker. I know it was coming out it was first high school game. I was most people know freshmen play on Thursdays. But I just know I was well, here we are. This is the next level. We're here, so let's try and make the most of it and see what happens. Because who knows, I might have not loved it, and given the circumstances, whatever the case may be. But I stepped on the field. I was I'm gonna do what I been doing for a good portion of my life, and wherever it takes me is wherever it takes me. I just know I was filled with a lot of excitement and eagerness just to play at the next level, so to say.
So starting your first varsity game, I'm sure you were pretty nervous.
Yeah, so starting my first varsity game was my junior year at Mayfield. It was against Walsh Jesuit. We were at Walsh Jesuit. It's my first ever varsity game starting. It was like a surreal feeling, just because there was I don't want to say politics, but just some things going on at the time with me starting and stuff with the camp beforehand and guys behind me and such. But yeah, it was very nerve wracking, my first start. But once I kind of got into the field and had a groove of things, it was kind of just took off from there. It was it was kind of like another day on the job. Once those nerves got out of the way, just doing what I tried to do best. And I remember I had a fairly decent game against that Walsh Jesuit team my junior year, and so it was nerve wracking, but it was good. It was a good first showing of my first varsity career. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So what was your most memorable game, and why does it stand out to you? from your career?
I'd probably say my most memorable game at Mayfield would be my senior year, our last regular season game against Kenyon. So during that time, it was we were undefeated up until that point. We'd beaten we'd beaten every team in the conference, our non-conference games that year. Something that going into the season nobody thought we were going to be able to do. And so in Kenston, we've always had trouble with Kenston in the past with their team and such. So, and they were at that time they had just won the state title. I think it was either a year or two before that.
Yeah.
So like it was going into it, we knew it was going to be a tough game. They're always a good team, and we wanted to get that undefeated season. That we hadn't done that since like 1986, 1982, something along those lines. I just know Mayfield wasn't undefeated until since the 1980s, and so there's a lot on the line going in that game. We know we were going to make the playoffs, but we wanted to leave that legacy, so to say, and. When the game was very close. It was a very close game, and when it came down to it, some guys made some big plays. Ben Sherlock and Mike Huss and a couple of those guys made some big plays, and as well as our defensive effort, it was great. We won. Everyone stormed the field. Students and faculty that was there. I vividly remember my dad came down in the field. He was like the first one that I saw, and I just gave him a huge hug just from because there's a lot that had been building up until that point in my football career and just that season as well. And so I'll never ever forget that Kenston game going undefeated. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So. Obviously, you're making your decision to play in college, ultimately chose College of Wooster.
Mm-hmm.
So what made you choose the College of Wooster to continue your football career?
Yeah. So when I went on my visit, on my football visit there, first thing was they were very welcoming at the college. They were everyone that I met, like our tour guide. So the tour guy that I had, his name was Ryan Johnston. He actually eventually became become one of my best friends at the college. But regardless of the point, he was awesome. The coaches were very nice to me. They showed a lot of interest in me. I remember their linebackers coach at the time, Coach Bauman. He came to the high school and he didn't meet with anybody else except for me. He was like, we want you to come here. We want you to visit and such. And, also stepping on campus, loved the campus. It was this beautiful campus. When I was going on a bunch of my college football visits, I always try to imagine myself, actually being there.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that I felt that I could do when I was on that campus was this is a place I could see myself going. And there's also another guy there when we were sitting down having lunch. His name was Seth Burke. He was on the football team. Unfortunately, he didn't stay on the football team when I got there. But he was he was a part of a lot of clubs at the college. He was part of the football team. He was an unbelievably nice guy. He was someone who I wanted to be in college, sitting down with him and having my dad talk to him as well. He is a big factor too, if he's like this, I wonder what, the rest of the team is like, and so to say. So, he was a very big part of that as well. They had fairly decent football team, and they said I remember they were if you come here you'll get playing time right away, and that was also another big drive for me. I know wherever I decided to go to college, I know I wanted to play fairly right away, and yeah, so that was also a huge driving factor for me choosing the College of Wooster,
Yeah.
and their academics as well, because they do have phenomenal academics there.
Yeah, and also playing time is very important.
Yeah.
Like I know like most like D2 and D3 schools, even D1 too. Like you want to go to a school where you know you're gonna get play time and your hard work's gonna pay off on the court rather than in practice and all that stuff.
Right.
Or on the field per se.
Right. Exactly.
In your case, well, you're not really a hooper.
You haven't seen me. You don't know.
But so obviously, recent graduate of Worcester, so big congrats to Dom. So obviously now me and you can kind of talk about this. So obviously I'm sure there were other schools that were interested in you. I guess like what other schools did you have interest in and kind of showed some interest, showed some love to you?
Yeah. So the schools that had visited me at my campus or at Mayfield was Worcester, Muskingum, Teal, Mount Union, John Carroll, Heidelberg, and Capital. So a lot of OAC schools,
Yeah.
and then some NCAC schools like Worcester. So yeah, like the big ones that like showed a lot of interest in me were Heidelberg, Worcester, Capital, another school called Denison that was in our conference, Wittenberg, another school that showed great interest in me. That was through emails. I never got to talk with them. At school, and Ithaca College out in New York,
Okay.
they also reached out to me. But I think the ones that showed the most interest were probably Heidelberg and Worcester. Those are the two biggest schools that showed a ton of interest in me, and yeah, like that was like that's something that you want to see as a recruit. Coaches actually showing their interest in you, not just like, hey, come play for us. So yeah, I had a lot of schools that had reached out to me and had showed interest in me, but at all levels. But those two were the biggest ones. So
awesome. So describe your first year as a football player in college, and what were the biggest challenges and overall highlights of your first year at Worcester?
Yeah. So my first year as an athlete was very different just because it was COVID year.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It was it was COVID times. I remember getting on campus. We had to wear masks everywhere and such. Like we had like maybe one or two meetings with the coaches, like before October, because in October we had got sent back home because we had a little bit of a COVID outbreak at our campus. But like before then, we'd have like one or two meetings, but we'd have football lifts. But like the football lifts would be very, 5 feet apart. Everyone has to be wearing a mask. Immediately after you got done using, a machine or a barbell, dumbbell, you had to wipe it off so the next person could use it. So it's very unusual just because, in high school, that was never the case. You just, everyone was hanging out, everyone was doing the thing, lifting, sweaty, all that stuff. So, that first half was just very, it just wasn't really like, college football, what I expected and such. And we lost a couple of guys from that going in my second semester of freshman year with football. And then second semester, we had found out that they were gonna let us play a couple of games as long as schools opted into it. So that my freshman year, we only got to play two teams because only two teams opted into it. It was Ohio Wesleyan and DePaul. And so both of those games were at home for us. So like leading up to that, we would have practices, but same thing went. Like they gave us like these masks that we were able to like put underneath our helmets. So like the coaches tried to enforce it upon us, like that we had to have the mask on underneath the helmets during practice and stretching, all those things. So that was obviously something just not fun. Being all sweaty and having to run around with a mask on, so to say. But they, throughout freshman year, they started to get a little bit more lenient. The school started to get a little bit more lenient. And then they would, come back on it because then you would have like a small outbreak or something. So it was just very different. It was very different than what I expected, my first year of college football would be. My expectations that I had for it to be. But we, going into that first game, we there was a guy that was in front of me. He wasn't kind of just doing the best in the classroom, and he wasn't kind of showing up for a lot of the things. And because of that, they named me the starting defensive end my freshman year for that first game, and went okay. It was I was very undersized, underweight my freshman year. I was playing DN at like maybe 180, if that. So I was very undersized, given my weight and everything. But went out, kind of did my thing, did my job. For those, I started both of those games. I just kind of did my job. Made a couple plays, like you said. I had 9 tackles between the 2 games, which was fairly decent. But it's just that freshman year was just very unpredictable, I'd say, with sports and football. So, yeah.
Yeah, and plus, I'm sure it was rough wearing a mask while playing, and it's just it just makes it so much harder.
Yeah, it was. It was very hard to go through that and to have done that. It was. It was. Even now, looking back on it, like it was crazy. So.
Yeah, I'm sure it feels like not real.
No,
I can't believe that even happened.
It's like a blur now. That freshman year, it's just like a blur, So yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
But so after that, you consistently made an impact. We can see that with the stats and like the tackles and all that. So you eventually did become a team captain. So how did that make you feel, and what motivated you to keep improving year after year?
So sophomore year, started all 10 games. Had a fairly decent sophomore year. That was like kind of like the first official year of football that I had. Had a fairly decent season. Contributed as much as I could at the defensive end position. I bulked up from in that summer, put on the weight that I needed to. Just like, kind of in the weight room and on the field, always, imagine myself as a leader. It's something that, kind of always, it was just instilled upon me at a young age, was to just kind of be vocal and be that leader for people. And so that spring ball of my sophomore year going into my junior year, I was named captain by my teammates that were on the football team. It was a phenomenal feeling. I was being named a captain as a junior in college isn't something that's normal, I guess I would say, or common. I'd say if you're picked as a captain. As a junior in college, it's something that you should be very proud of, and that's something I was. I remember getting my name called. I wasn't expecting to get my name called. During that time, was I hoping? Of course, what leader isn't hoping to get their name called?
Right.
But once I actually did, it was a phenomenal feeling. It was kind of like once I got named captain, that junior year, I was like, all right, I got a lot of eyes on me now, so I can't I might have not been able to do the things that I was doing previously. So I, always, no matter what I was doing, no matter where I was, you got to be that leader. Guys on the football team that they can look up to. No matter whether it be in the classroom, parties, clubs, whatever the case may be, you got eyes on you now. And it's not only just guys on the football team, but it's the coaches as well, because they're always looking for you to be that leader and do the right thing always. So it kind of just put that, I already had a chip on my shoulder, but that kind of just made it twice as I don't know what the right word is, but it just increased that chip on my shoulder that much more. So then it was a phenomenal feeling. I was very thankful at that time to be named captain. It was myself and then 3 other seniors on the team. Wow. It was a very phenomenal feeling, but I was very humbled as well to be named captain. And understood the I don't want to say baggage, but the responsibilities that it came with it as well.
And plus, too, it's also a great feeling, too, when you know that people, look up to you.
Yep.
And, they want to replicate, I guess, the same attitude, same, kind of, behavior that you have. It makes you kind of, lead by example and really set that standard.
Definitely.
So, very proud of you for that.
Thank you.
That's huge.
Appreciate
so,
that.
Obviously, during practice, there were a lot of good and bad practices, I'm sure. So during the hard ones, how did you stay motivated? And even after a difficult loss, how did you kind of keep your head up?
So I guess in terms of the hard practices part, in days where I just didn't, sometimes I just didn't want to be out there, doing something else. It kind of goes back to that, being named captain as well. Like I said, you got guys looking at you always, no matter what. You're named captain for a reason, and you are very. You have to be very vocal to be a captain. At least on our team that I was on, and when there's those days and those practices where you're just like, oh, I don't want to be out here, or I have this amount of homework that I got to do, and go home to you got to understand that you're not only just playing for yourself, but you're playing for your teammates as well. And kind of going into those practices, I was like, look, I'm here, I'm playing football in college for a reason. I'm here for a reason. Would I rather be doing homework right now or going out and drinking or whatever the case may be? Yeah, maybe, but it was also just that love for football as well. I truly felt like there was nothing better than football, playing football and being a part of that team. And I kind of also looked at it as what's the right word for it?
Like an opportunity?
Yeah, like an opportunity, but it's not everyone can play football. Not everyone gets the opportunity to play college football, or whether it be something internally, externally, physically. It's not everyone can play football, and a lot of people don't realize that. There's probably people out there that would have died to have been in my position, and doing the things that I was doing for the team, and you gotta look at it at that perspective as well. It's you can never take it for granted. Being out there and just playing a sport that you love to play. That was a big thing that got me through the practices. And then after tough losses, you just kind of took it with a grain of salt. We'd always have film sessions, afterwards, and you look back upon it, see what you did wrong, see what you could have improved upon. Losses, they suck. What loss doesn't? But you take it with a grain of salt and you move on to the next week. see what you could have improved upon, with the game beforehand, whether it be like myself or teammates' game plan. Whatever the case may be, you take the loss for what it was, and then see what you could have done better, and then you move on to the next week. Move on to that next opponent, because you can't change the past, can't change a loss. So you then just focus on to that next team that's coming up that very next week. So, yeah.
It's true. It's true. So, obviously, you're a student athlete, student most importantly.
Right.
So, how did you balance the demand of being a student athlete with your academic and social life? Obviously, playing a sport in college is not tough, on top of also having friends, having, groups, clubs, fraternities, all of that stuff, as well as, class, homework.
Yeah, so football kind of forced me to be organized, in a way. Like I viewed football as like a job on top of an already full-time job, and a lot of other guys kind of realized, like, if you weren't organized and if you didn't time manage very well, you wouldn't have done well. You wouldn't have done well on the field. You wouldn't have done well in the academics, and we lost a couple of guys because of that. So. Yeah. Some guys figure it out, some guys don't. I was thankful enough to have figured it out, and it wasn't just from football. It was also, my professors, my parents, my dad, especially, my brother a little bit, some of the upperclassmen that were there as well. You kind of figured out how to do everything in a way, and how to time management. And how to, manage your time. After the football season, you're obviously given some time to kind of do your own thing for a little bit. You have like maybe one or two team workouts before you left for winter break, and then right back to it once we got back. So with spring ball, morning workouts, morning conditioning, things along that nature. So it was just something that I had to learn. I wouldn't have survived like how I had if I didn't, just learn it. It does help that I, played a sport in high school and was able to kind of get those time management skills down a little bit, in high school. But college is a whole different breed. It's something that a lot of people don't truly understand how much time it takes to be a student athlete. And then as well as I was also part of various clubs on campus. I was president of a fraternity. So, I don't think I would have been able to go anywhere else and I had done the things that I had done at Wooster. Anywhere else. I couldn't have done what I'd done at Wooster anywhere else. Wooster allowed me to do everything that I wanted to do while still time management. Everything, still get an amazing education, still play the sport that I loved. That's another thing, like why I loved Worcester so much. It provided me with all of that, So I wouldn't have traded it for the world. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So, did you have like a little like agenda or like calendar, like Google Calendar, like what did you use to keep track of all like your time, like your schedule for the day?
Yeah, so I every single year, so our football coaches would always send us schedules over emails. It would always then get put into our Outlook calendars. So that was, So that was all. That was always something. That I didn't have to necessarily worry about with football and that scheduling, because it was always done essentially for us, since it was automatically put into our Outlook calendars. So I just had to go back and reference that. But I had a planner every single year of college. So I made sure before I left for college, always to get a planner, and so I anything that I had coming up, I'd write in the planner. So even though I did have my football schedule on my Outlook calendar, I'd still put it on my planner as well, because my planner had everything else on it: school, academics, clubs, extracurriculars, anything that I attend, anything that I wanted to do was in that planner, and that was a huge thing for me, just because Yeah, like I could have put it in my computer, but I think just writing it down helped for me. I know not everyone likes to write stuff down and likes to put it in their computer, but big thing for me was writing it down. It kind of helped with my memory a little bit with just writing it down, and yeah, having that planner every single year was a huge thing that kept me organized throughout those 4 years. So
Yeah, like
yeah.
I've been telling everyone, like within the past few weeks, like the planner is like, in my opinion, one of the greatest inventions ever. Like
I agree.
I like love it. I use it daily for school. Like it's awesome. It helps with all the timing and stuff. So I'm very glad that you mentioned that.
Yeah, I agree. Planners are amazing. I would recommend it to anyone.
So, being an athlete, did you have any pregame rituals or like superstitions, like any socks, any gloves,
Um,
headband?
no, not really. Like I would I think my sophomore year, I guess I did have a pregame ritual. My college house at the time had like a massive porch, so every Friday night, myself and a couple of guys in my fraternity, a couple of guys from the football team would come over and we would just hang out on the porch, listen to music, talk, just kind of be together just the night before a game. Because since our porch was so big, we were able to always have like so many people over. And everyone kind of knew everyone at the College of Wooster. Um, yeah, I remember every single night, at least my sophomore year, we'd always have guys come over on that Friday night onto our porch just to hang out and talk and sit around, listen to some music, talk about the game the next day, so.
Yeah.
But in terms of any pregame rituals, I didn't really have any. I'd kind of just show up, put my headphones on, kind of just get into the zone, get into that tenacious mindset that I kind of needed to get into before games, and yeah, that was about it. Don't really believe in superstitions, so to say.
Yeah.
I just kind of your game talks. You go out and play the way that you play and how you prepare. So
It's true.
yeah.
So like, what was your go-to song? Like obviously, like you gotta have a song that you like, end off on, or one that like you have to play before every game. You gotta have at least one.
So it was either Ace of Spades or Bulls on Parade by Rage Against the Machine. Both songs just like it just flipped that switch into my head. I was like, all right, like let's go out and do this. Let's go out and win. So it really did. It just flipped that switch into my head, and I was like, let's do this. I'm ready.
Who's the Ace of Spades?
I can't remember the band name, but it's just like a very fast paced heavy metal song that both songs are very kind of fast paced heavy metal songs. So yeah, so those two songs are, and Crazy Train a little bit too.
Yeah, that's a great song too.
Crazy Train's a great song, and that's something that my dad loved to play to kind of get me into the zone when I was little. But yeah.
And also that was on Madden 11.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Come on.
Yeah, that's when I'd always beat you in Madden 11. Because Crazy Chain would come on, I'd be like, all right, time to beat myself once again.
Not on the Wii.
Oh,
maybe on the Xbox.
On.
Because I had the Wii, he had the Xbox.
I beat him always.
I would play Xbox because my parents wouldn't let me get an Xbox, so I'd always go over to his house just to play Xbox.
And I always beat him. And then even when I came over to his house on the Wii, I always beat him on the Wii.
No, because the Wii, you had to throw. Like, you had to actually hold the buttons and you had to throw it. So I was always more accurate, when I would throw it.
So this is when you had the athletic abilities? Okay.
Dude, I was always I was always more athletic than him anyways. But overall, what advice would you give to current or future student athletes? Obviously, you've been through a lot of experiences. Yeah. So, any advice to the people out there?
Yeah, just keep at it. Keep going. If you want to be a part of a sport in college or high school, whatever the case may be, but college especially, One big thing is like just make sure that you're playing the sport that you're playing because of you. Don't play it for anyone else. Don't play because you think it's going to be cool. People are going to be like, oh, he or she's on like the soccer team, football team, volleyball team, whatever the case may be. Don't just play because like you want to look cool or have the uniform. Want to just wear the uniform. Um, Play because you want to play. Play because you love the sport and that you want to be there and playing that sport. And just enjoy it. And I know a couple of times, throughout my college football career, I, took it a lot more serious than I should have, and I couldn't enjoy the victories as much as I could have, and it's not something I necessarily regret, but it's like looking back on it, maybe I could have just enjoyed it a little bit more. It's not life or death. I knew I wasn't going to the NFL or anything, so it's like, just go out and enjoy it. It's obviously be competitive. I'm not telling anyone to not be competitive, but just go out and enjoy it. Be out there with like your friends, and because they're doing the same exact thing, as that you are, and just stick at it. Like if you're feeling moments of weakness and vulnerability. If it's not for you, it's not for you, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you have that diehard passion for it, and whether you're struggling in the classroom or struggling on the field, do something about it. Fix whatever you have to fix. In order to continuing to play the sport that you love, but also getting your degree. Doing the academics as well. So yeah, that's probably my biggest things. Keep moving forward. And as well as enjoy it as much as possible, because something that I'm starting to realize now that I'm out of college, it flies by. It really does. So just make the most of it while you're still in it. So
It's true.
Yeah,
It's very true. So now, I always end off my podcast with the quote of the episode, but there's a few more like mini questions that I have to ask you before we
go
wrap
ahead.
this podcast up.
Yeah.
So first question. So out of all my friends, so obviously Dom, cousin of mine, have been around all my friends.
Yes.
If you had to pick 3 friends to be stranded on an island with, random, out of all my friends, which 3 are you picking? Almost like your 3 favorite.
So are we? So am I picking this off of like survivability?
You're just picking this in general.
Just in general. Oh God. Shane.
Wow.
Shane will probably be one.
Wow. Shane at 1?
Well, no, I'm just like one of them. These aren't in any specific order. Shane will probably be one of them. Probably Ricky.
Wow,
Ricky would probably be another one. I used to back at Mayfield. He used to be my so-called son. So he would probably be another one. Oh man. And just for his humor and likability, let's go with Cam.
Wow,
Cam Smith. So I haven't talked to him in a little bit, but he was always in high school. He was always so funny. Always put a smile on my face. So I would have him there just because he's a very likable kid, and he was always able to make me smile. So
wow.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a solid group right there.
Yeah, I think
that's a solid group.
I think we'd be able to survive for a little bit.
Yeah.
But probably wouldn't make it out, but we would survive for a little bit, have some good laughs.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, me and Dom, like, back in the day, used to, play soccer together, play football. We play a lot of sports together. I think baseball, too. Mm-hmm. We did so much together. We had some pretty heated battles playing basketball. A lot of times, we'd get pissed at each other, call fouls, play hard defense. If me and you were to play today, up to 11, make it take it ones and twos. Who's winning?
Me.
He's not winning.
I'm just
that's like crazy.
Look, we can go out and do it anytime, any moment, any. We can when we go out and do that, we can add it onto this clip at the end.
No, we'll make it separate.
Oh, well, yeah, we could do it live, whatever the case may be. I am fully confident in my abilities that I would beat you. Would it be close? Yeah, it'd probably be close. But I'm winning.
Yeah, but
10 times out of 10, I'm winning. When you came over and you played the one day,
dude, that was up to like 3. It was up to 3.
Who won?
Okay, you won.
Oh, see?
No, but
so this is
he was doing
evidence.
like LeBron James, like hook shots, like left, right. I'm telling you,
I'm nice. I'm nice with it.
Those layups would have not gone in. I swear.
I'm nice with it. I don't know what else you want me to say.
Yeah, but you can't shoot.
Yeah, you're right. Shooting.
I would leave him open.
Shooting isn't my best, trait or skill, but I'll knock some down here and there, and that's all I need to beat you. So,
yes,
I'm winning 10 times out of 10, and we'll do something separate.
Well, actually, I did receive some breaking news today. My former player, so CSS big 3-on-3 tournament. It's awesome. I'm sure you guys have seen some of the highlights, some of the clips from the YouTube channel. So my center for this year, Jimmy Shaw, unfortunately got hurt. He's going to be out like towards PCL. Not playing basketball just from a long time ago. I think through football and stuff, he just never got it healed. So unfortunately, he's out for next year. So that means the spot opens up, to my man right here. Hopefully, Dom can come in and showcase his skills for us and enter in the 2025 CSS draft.
Let's do it. I know I missed this past summer, but yeah, I'm down. I'm there next summer.
Yeah, should be
I'll take the league on storm. It'll be like LeBron James coming into the
NBA. You'd be bottom 5 players in the league. You'd be bottom 5.
Oh, come on. We both know that's not true.
Yeah, but I would draft him, though, for sure.
I hope so.
But, yeah, that's true. Family first.
Wow, yeah. Yeah.
But, two more questions. So,
sure.
If you were to compare yourself to an NFL player, who would you say your game kind of was similar to, or you kind of looked up to in your position?
Who I was similar with. I'd probably say oh man, that's a good question. I never really looked at it that way. So when I was playing linebacker my junior year, I think my play style was very similar to Peyton Wilson, who just got drafted to the Steelers. He was won the Butt Kiss Award for the best college linebacker at NC State, and he was a freak. He always knew where to be, where to go. He wasn't afraid to hit. He was awesome. I'd like to think that my play style was very similar to his for at linebacker, and then at D end, I don't know, probably like Joey Bosa. Probably him. I wasn't obviously the fastest guy out there, but one thing that Joey Bosa has, he's very, very good with his hands. He's very technical. He's very, he's very fundamentally sound, and he's probably someone that I try and mirror my game after. So, yeah.
Wow. And then, last question before we get into the quote of the episode. Did you have any desire to play I know the CFL? You kind of got some interest there, or even at least trying out for a pro team. Did you have any interest?
So I a couple teams from Canada reach out to me, and some teams out in Europe as well. One of my two actually two former teammates both played. One played in Canada this past season, and now another one's actually playing in Canada right now.
Wow.
And then another one played. Our quarterback played professionally in London. I'm pretty sure it was, and so I had a couple of teams reach out to me and ask if I wanted to play, but I thought about it for a little bit, but I think my body was just done with it. I had a lot of injuries, nothing too serious, which I'm very thankful for, but I had some injuries, ending my college football career, and my body was just at that point where I was like, hey, can't do this much longer, and practices got harder, and morning conditioning got harder. And it's not simply just because I couldn't do it, just because my body was like, it's catching up to me a little bit. I played football for, I don't know, 16 years, 12 years, whatever it was. So, over those years, your body takes those hits. And I was always playing linebacker or D-end, so those are always those positions where you're typically hitting every single play, and so throughout those years it just caught up to me, and I was like, yeah, would have been cool to maybe got an opportunity to travel a little bit. Yes, of course, but at that time my body was just like, hey, we're done, and I was okay with that. I wanted to start my adult life, so to say, and yeah, so yeah.
Awesome. So obviously the quote of the episode, for those who don't know, I pick a quote from a player from the respective sport, and we'll kind of relate to how this quote relates to your life, and a quote that you live, and then a quote that you kind of live by every single day. You'll talk about that after this quote.
Sure.
So quote of the episode is: remember, once you set a goal, it's all about how hard you're willing to work, how much you're willing to sacrifice, and how badly you truly want it. J.J. Watt. So what does that quote mean to you, and how does that relate to your life?
I mean, that's exactly what the quote is. If you want something, go get it. If you want to do something, go do it. That's whatever you want to do in life, whatever you want to be in life, whatever your circumstance may be, or the position that you're in, go get it. Do what you want to do with your life. You are in control of your own life, and obviously you got to work hard at it and stick with it throughout the entire time. But be whoever you want to be in your life, and just work at it. And yeah, so that's kind of what I think about that with that quote. So
yeah, and what's a quote that you live by every single day?
Oh yeah, so a quote that I live by every day, and kind of a quote that my father instilled upon me at a young age was, "If you fail to prepare, prepare to fail." It's something that I lived by at a very young age. Something I still live by till this day. Excuse me, it's kind of the same thing. The quote is, exactly what it means. If you fail to prepare, for whether it be, your sport, your job, the classroom, life, relationships, fail to prepare, just prepare for that failure that you're going to receive afterwards. So, that's something that I've instilled upon others. I've talked to others about, at my college career, and, being a captain and such. But yeah, that's a quote I try and live by every single day, and very thankful for my dad for instilling upon me at a very young age.
Yeah, that's a great quote too. And actually, whenever I think of that quote, I always think of your dad as well.
Yep. Yeah, I know he was. He
Always said that.
Always said it.
Kids, for sure.
Yeah. So.
But that's it for this episode. Brand new season. I'm very thankful for Dom for joining this podcast. It was a great episode. It was great catching up with him and also talking to him as well. Now we have to take this to the court and also on college football. We'll definitely, I'm sure we'll be playing that soon.
Oh, 100%.
Did you buy the game?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
oh, yeah,
of course.
Yeah, we'll definitely play. But last time we played in Madden, he actually rage quit all.
Oh, what? What?
And he also left the party, and he got off too.
Oh my god.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't played Xbox in ages.
All right, that was like last semester though.
Yeah, whenever it was.
But I'm very appreciative for Dom. Love him to death, and I'm very thankful that he came on the show today. Hopefully you had a great experience. Hopefully you had a great time on the show.
Yeah, this was awesome.
And I'm actually changing the times for the podcast. I'm going to start uploading Friday mornings or maybe Monday mornings, just depending on the week. But either Friday or Mondays at 8 a.m. every week. And that way you can listen to it, driving to school, going to work, during lunch, kind of give more options. Because obviously 4:30 on a Saturday, college football is coming on. So I'm sure people will be doing that instead of watching this podcast. But is there any way people can reach you if they have any questions or anything like that? Any social media pages or nothing?
If you want to come find me, I'm not hard to find. If you reach out to this guy, I'm sure he can give out my info and such. I doubt anyone will be willing to or is gonna want my info. But yeah, if my Instagram's dbrow8.
Yeah.
That's probably all I'll give you guys. And anything else, go reach out to Marcelo. So.
Well, it's funny because my friend Anthony, he was on this podcast and he had a NIL deal, a sponsorship.
Yeah.
So he was telling to plug his code and his Instagram bio.
That's awesome.
I didn't know if you had anything like that.
Nah, no. I have a Legion supplement code called Dom D. You get 20% off Legion.
Link in bio.
Link in my Instagram bio if you want any workout supplements at a discounted rate.
Come on. There we go. But that'll do it, and we'll see you next episode. So peace.
Yep.
We'll see you.
See you.
Woohoo!